Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining in. This is yet another Thursday webinar, and today we are going to come up with a new topic as part of our greater conversation in GTM engineering. So we have been building multiple different framework. Over the last few weeks, I've talked about dark principles, how we use the dark funnel principles to build the GTM strategy for B2B sales teams and enterprise teams. And today we are going to talk about how we build it. Okay, so the focus for today's webinar is going to be how we build the strategy for GTM for large B2B sales teams. Okay, and we have a special name for that. It's called the signals framework. Okay, because we rely heavily on signal for B2B marketing and B2B growth services that we provide. So today's session is super important and very relevant for people who need a practical exposure as to how a great GTM strategy can be built for a modern B2B teams. Okay. So the goal is to look for signals to turn GTM to turn buyer intent to predictable pipeline. All right. So now, before I get into the topic of signals framework, let me discuss a little bit about the core problem in modern B2B GTM. Why we need a framework, why we need a playbook to go with that, right? Because there is so much of confusion going around, especially when it comes to GTM for B2B sales, right? So the number one core problems is buyer is doing researching long before filling up the form. So by the time they are filling up the form, they are already informed. They are already talking to your competitors. So you are a little too late here. So you are just doing a follow-up game and possibly you are a little late in the party. So buyers nowadays are doing a lot of research thanks to AI. They can do deep research thanks to Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini. They can really do some deep research in a matter of seconds. So the research is something that the power has gone towards the buyer, right? In many ways. Most of the intent in today's world stays invisible, in the dark funnel, right? They are not all the time coming to Google and doing a Google search. They are all over the place. They are on Claude, they are on Gemini, they are on Grok, they are on Reddit. It's so many different places. So the buyer intent, in many ways, they remain invisible within the dark funnel. Sales works on cold list, right? That's the problem. You just download a list of company data, the contact data from Apollo and Zoom Info. It doesn't work as good as what it used to do 10 years back. Okay, marketing running very broad campaign. Okay, even if the marketing is running broad level campaign on Google is not the only channels to do the search anymore. Google used to control most of the search, but now it does not. So it's actually, running just broader campaign is not to solve the problem for many of the sales team. Okay, an ad is getting wasted without context. That means, you're just running broad ads. That's a ad spend waste with no context. So nowadays, people need more context. People are more and more busy. They have less attention span. And if you're not going to provide people what they're looking for at the right time, then they are just going to ignore you. So these are the core problem that most of the B2B teams are facing in 2025, 2026 that we are in. Right, so buyer research has gone into the power has gone into the hand of buyers. Okay, the visibility is less. Most of the decisions are happening within what we call as the dark funnel. That means you're not aware of their decision making process. Just running simple code, ads and cold email outreach is not cutting the deal. Right, that's the problem that today's modern B2B sales teams are facing, and it's a big problem in many ways. Why signal matter more than leads now? Okay, of course, lead matters. Obviously, every salesperson out there, every SDR, every BDM, they're waiting for the leads to come up, and that's the whole point of everything that we do. But the signals now matters more than just the lead, right? Okay, the leads just lag indicator, right? If you're just sourcing cold leads, it lags all the indicators. Whether this person you have sourced a bunch of 50,000 CIOs. So what, right? You can send them an email, you can run ads. So what? That's the question. Whether they have the need, and most of them are now being ignored, and there are technology coming up every single day where people can just block your ads and block your emails and like so on. So what really matters is the context behind the signals behind those leads, right? Signals are the leading indicator. Signals can show interest, timing, and readiness, right? So if you are getting lead along with the signal, that's great, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. And the winning team act before the competitors. So if you have got the right kind of signals, then you can work on the leads before your competitors does, right? So you're not just sitting and waiting for the leads to come up and just do the follow-up game. You can be more proactive and take more proactive steps to go ahead and create a relationship with your prospects. All right. So signal is early, lead is late. Okay. By the time a lead comes to your contact us page, possibly that same prospect has already filled up 5 more contact us page with your competitors. And they are just going to schedule, 5 demos, and they're going to do their decision making. So you are already late in the journey. What if you would have built the relationship right upfront in the journey, correct? In that case, you would have had advantage over your competitors, right? What if by the time the prospect starts looking for things, they start giving the signal, you start reaching out to them, you start delivering value, and then when the time comes for them to fill up the contact us form, they will fill up the contact us form, and possibly they will not fill up the contact us form of your competitors. And even if they fill up the form of your competitors, you still have an advantage, right? So that's the kind of world we are talking about. And today we are going to talk about how we can use the signals framework as an actual playbook, step by step, what you need to do in order to achieve what we are talking about. So Signal is the insect type signal-led GTM architecture. It's a playbook. It turns buyer behavior into activation. It replaces campaigns with systems. Okay, GTM system, AI-led GTM systems, not just campaign. And it powers bridge ad, ABM 2.0, and AI outreach. So I have talked about bridge ads. I've talked about ABM 2.0. I've talked about AI outreach in the previous session. So we are going to club it all together, and then we are going to go through the steps of this playbook. All right. Okay, so this is the how it looks like, the signal framework. It basically talks about 4 important areas: intent, system, activation, and revenue. Right. So the signal framework focuses on getting the intent and building the system and then doing the activation, which will in turn affect your revenue. So that's the 4 major steps in the process. And now we're going to go into how we do that, right? How the signal framework actually works, right? How we identify the intent and the signals, how we build the system, and how we do the AI-led outreach and paid ads and like so on. So this is the signal architecture diagram. So signals architecture, or what we call as the signals playbook, is the step-by-step, the 7 step that we follow in order to create a continuous GTM loop and a system for GTM, right? So the first step is spot, right? So as a first step, we try to identify use cases of how we can spot, right? So there are different sources. For example, if somebody visits your website, we need to spot that. If somebody posts a job, we need to spot that. If somebody visits your G2 profile, that's a signal, we need to spot it. If somebody is hiring a lot of people around certain department, that's a signal. Okay, if some company is going through M&A, that's a signal, right? If some company got a funding for their product, that's a signal. So the signal sources can be many. The idea is, what are the use cases you're going to follow? And then, what are the systems you're going to build to spot it? For example, you want all the new doctor's clinic that has opened up in a certain area, right? You can spot that. Now you have the technology by which you can spot that, right? You can keep building the list, keep updating the list, right? You can keep getting this data from third party, from Google Maps, API, and other sources, and then you can keep updating the data. So you can spot it. So once you spot the data, you need to integrate the data, right? For example, you are spotting what kind of companies are posting what kind of jobs, right? And then you integrate those data with your internal system. It can be as simple as an Airtable or a spreadsheet, or it can be something like a Salesforce or a Pop. We are not going to discuss the technicalities here, but you need to integrate. So once you build in the systems, you run the scraper, you call up the API, you get the data sources, and then you need to integrate with your system. It can be as simple as something as spreadsheet. It's perfectly fine, even if you're doing that. Okay. Or it can be something more complex. That's up to you. But that's the next step. After S stands for spot in the signals architecture, I stands for integrate, then it is group. Right? You group together, you create segment. Right? For example, all certain type of healthcare clinics can be grouped together. And then you can enrich as well, right? Okay, this is where you can do the enrichment as well. Okay, so when you group, you create segments based on the data that you are spotting. So, for example, all the companies who are posting data engineer jobs group together. All the companies who are posting network engineer jobs group together. All the companies within these segments subs can be created into subsegments that they belong to healthcare industry, they belong to heavy engineering industry, stuff like those, right? So you can group means in simple word is creating segmentation and sub-segmentation, and then you nurture it. That means you enrich it, right? Make sense? So that means you add more data. So group the data, add more information. For example, what is the size of this company? Is it a Fortune 500 company? What is the number of employees working for the company? Is this a funded startup? Is it a enterprise company? Is it a small business unit? Okay, where exactly is this company located, right? Okay, there are a number of information that you can source from different data sources, right? So you nurture, you add it. Okay, you group it, you add it, and then, as a next step, so we have talked about four steps: spot, integrate, group, nurture. Okay, nurture the data. When I'm saying nurture, it's not email nurturing, it's data nurturing. Okay, data enrichment. Once the data is enriched, then you activate the campaign. So you can find all the people working, all the CIO working for this company, and you can reach out to those CIOs of the company, right? For example, you are giving some IT services uh, you are providing some IT services. Okay, you're giving hardware or software, or you're providing manpower, whatever it is. You can then reach out to CIO and say, hey, you know what? We provide LAN, we provide network, we provide this hardware, and we are very good at it. And I see that you have a need out there in the market, and you fall under this category. So we have the right kind of product or service that you can use. So then when you activate the campaign, you activate the campaign based on the intent, based on real data, based on the right segmentation, based on the right enrichment, so that you can do the right kind of personalization, right? So fifth step is activation. When I say activation, I mean email, LinkedIn, multi-channel, ads, text, whatever it is. You can do all those kind of activation in any channel that you want, right? Then you create a loop. That means you continuously run those campaigns and see who is responding and who is not. If heavy engineering clients are responding to your message, and if healthcare clients prospects are not responding to your message, you got the message, right? Then you can nurture more on the heavy engineering space as compared to healthcare space, right? So that loop is very important. And once you identify that something is working, then you can go ahead and scale it. For example, for you, heavy engineering is working out well, so you scale the campaign based on on the industry of heavy engineering, and then you dumb down on healthcare. Right? So this is a very simple 7-step playbook that we follow, what we call as the signals playbook. We follow one step at a time, and then we connect the loop, okay, and we get the result every single time, right? If you build it right, you'll get the result. Okay. So every signal triggers action, every action improves the next signal. That's the whole idea about signal architecture. Right. Every signal will trigger an action, and every action will improve the next signal. That's the keyword here. Okay? So this is the signal stage breakdown, signals framework, playbook, spot, detect intent, integrate unified data, group prioritize accounts, segment accounts, okay, nurture warm engagement, okay, activate precision ads, you can run ads and outreach, loop feedback plus learning, and scale automation and expansion. This is where you can, at the time of scale, you can really build out, agentic AI and automation and really expand as fast as possible. Right? So 7 step, very simple 7 step, but if done right, can do magic for your business. Right. So let's talk about individual steps. Okay, spot. So what are the type of signals that you can detect? I've already talked about it. Let's give you some more examples. Then when it comes to detecting buyer intent and signals, these are some common ones. Of course, we have so many other use cases as well, but these are some really common ones. Website visit. Who is visiting your website? Are you able to spot? G2 review activity. Who is visiting your G2? What kind of review they are giving? What kind of activity they are doing? That data can be fetched and enriched back to your HubSpot or Salesforce in real time. Job changes. If a company is going through some job changes, hiring certain type of people, hiring signals, tech adoption. If company acquires Salesforce CRM, okay, or HubSpot or Stripe or whatever, right? And if that is something which is an important signal for you, then that's an important signal, right? So we have built with another data providers who can easily give us this data. Even Apollo and ZoomInfo does provide this signal as well. Social listening, very important signal. If you want to, you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator or something like a trigger file to do social listening, where you can upload a bunch of accounts and then continuously listen to those accounts as to what kind of talk they are, so that you can continuously improve your ABM, right? And the output will be raw intent signal stream. The output is from all these different sources, you will continuously get what we call as the high intent leads, right? Or company data continuously, right? So it will be continuously fetched into something like a HubSpot or a spreadsheet or a Airtable or even a Slack continuously, right? And then you can build agentic AI on top of it to take the better decision, right? Of course, practically also we can do that in the coming days. We are certainly going to do that as well. But it's very simple. First you need to, in principle, understand what are the signals that you want and what are the use cases that you want to create on. That's the first step. Right? Second step, so this is the first step: web, G2, job, tech, social, and many more. The second step is integrate, right? Unify the signals. Right? For example, somebody posted a job, visited the G2, and also visited your website. So this is where the unification happens. So this is where the signals are unified. Right? The same company, the same people from the same company doing all of that. So you can unify the data, right? So sync signals into CRM, CDP, or even an Excel sheet that you're using. Resolve account identities, resolve that, right? Match it, normalize the data, correct? Build single source of truth, right? And then the output will be unified GTM data layer. That's the output. Make sense? So if you want to use CDP, then there are a bunch of CDPs out there like WebEngage and Twilio, which does this job very well, especially from the product engagement point of view. But you can add other signals as well on top of this. So signals, CRM, CDP typically that we use, but you can use something else as well. The database is not an issue. Okay, how do you do things matters the most, right? And you create what we call as the unified account, right? So this account is giving us all these signals, right? Okay, so that's very important. The data ingestion is important. Creating the right kind of data pipeline is important. Data deduplication is important. So this is where building the right kind of systems is super important. Right? Now the next step is G, which is group, which is segmentation and prioritization. Okay, so when you group it, you do the ICP filtering. For example, if the signals are coming up, whether it matches your ICP or not. If it does not matches the ICP, you can ignore it, right? And if it matches the ICP, then you see what kind of engagement is happening. They have engaged with you in G2, 10 points. They have engaged with you on website, 20 points. They have gone to the contact us page, another 20 points. Stuff like those, right? You can dynamically create those kind of scoring as well, right? And then you can tire them, right? T1, T2, T3, you can level them. Okay? So T1 means high intent, closest to the ICP. T2 means little lower intent, not exactly your ICP. T3 means not really your ICP. So you can tire them, and then you can map the buyer stage also, right? So if it belongs to tier one, what are the buying stage mapping? Who are the people decision makers? So create a complete account-based marketing buying stage mapping, and then you will be ready to activate the ABM segments, the ABM signals, right? The outreach, the LinkedIn messages, and like so on, right? With proper context. So segmentation prioritization is super important. If you don't do this job well, then the data will be all over the place, and then your sales rep and your marketing team will not know what to be done, what needs to be done in the right way. Okay, so account, map it to the account, do the scoring and tiering, and then create what we call as the ABM segments, right? And based on the segments, you create the personalized outreach messaging, right? Which includes ads as well. Okay, nurture is where you start nurturing them, warm their account, send them nurturing email, start engaging with them on LinkedIn, on the decision makers, start following them, do an AI outreach, email outreach, chatbots, voice agents. You can do a voice agent outreach as well. The output is the accounts becomes warm, right? Meeting ready accounts. Right? The accounts are already aware of your presence, your service, your product. So when you approach them, then there is a higher chance of them responding to that, right? Okay, and this is also a time where nurturing is also a time where you can actually deliver value. You can give them ebooks, webinar, content, uh, whatever they need, right? So that they will see you as somebody who delivers value before asking anything. Okay, perfect. So segment, create the right kind of segments, warm it, personalized touch points, warm engagement. So you start doing the warm engagement, right? Okay, and then it is activation. So activation here means bridge ads and outreach. So run ads and do outreach, right? Sync audiences to LinkedIn and Google ad account. Do customer match ads. So all these, tier one accounts can be a simple customer match account, and then you run ads to that. You can find similar companies using similar companies API to find similar accounts out there in the market. You can do dynamic retargeting, for example, if they have, visit your website, check out your pricing page, do the dynamic retargeting as well. The output will be precision ads aligned to intent. That's the output. What you try to achieve is that there is an intent, and then you are running ads with respect to the intent, right? So the ads will be super precise, aligned to the intent. Okay. So CRM to CDP, bridge ads, LinkedIn and Google, super important. And then you can add a layer of email and LinkedIn messages as well. Okay? So feedback loop, we already talked about it. Create a feedback loop, right? Capture ad engagement, track pipeline movement, update the scores segment, optimize the workflow. So see which segment is really moving, which segment is really affecting the pipeline. See which ads are really creating engagement. And then based on that, continuously, they get this continuous feedback loop. And then the GTM system can be trained to self-improve itself, right? You can build an AI agent on top of all the AI agents, and that AI agent's job will be to get all the feedback and to improve this, to self-improve the GTM system in many ways, right? So that's the whole point of building a system, right? Which is not just campaign-led, it's a system-led, GTM-led principle by which you can, build things in a way that it can optimize itself, grow itself. And then finally, the loop feedback, the loop is ads and sales data, get the feedback and do the optimization. Make sense? Okay. So ads engagement, sales data, get the feedback and do the optimization. And a part of it can be automated as well. Okay. And finally, once you reach a point where you have the product marketing fit or service marketing fit, where you have the go-to-marketing strategy, which is working for certain segment with certain messaging, then that is the time when you should really think about scaling, right? So automate winning motions, replicate across regions. So if something is working for certain segment in Germany, then move to other cities, move to other countries, right? So replicate across regions, expand ICP coverage, AI-driven optimization. The idea is to compound the GTM engine. Okay. Uh, the idea is to not to recreate the wheel, but to just not to recreate the show, but to use the same show and go to different cities, right? In many ways. So proven motion, if something is working for certain segments, certain target audience, certain ICP, certain geography, then using automation, you can scale very fast, right? Faster than what any time before. So signals plus bridge ads is equals to precision GTM, correct? So if you add the signals framework with bridge ads, you get what we call as a precision GTM engine. Signals detect engine, bridge ads monetize intent, CRM closes the loop, sales acts on the context. Your sales team becomes an outreach team, and your sales team, they are all on the same level playing ground, right? There's no great salesperson and not so great salesperson anymore because AI is taking a lot of decision, a lot of stuff is automated. Okay, so it creates a democratization, a level playing ground for your sales team in many ways. All right, so I think we explained this. I hope this session was useful for you. Intent, signal, bridge, and pipeline feedback. That's the journey you've got to make in your GTM, and it starts with intent, but the core of it is the data layer. How well you are organizing the data, how well your data pipeline is working, how well you are optimizing the data is super important, right? Okay, if your data is all over the place, then possibly the first step will be to organize your system and data in the right way, and then start working on this system. The business outcome of signal-led GTM is higher win rates, lower CSC, faster pipeline velocity, better sales prioritization. Very important. Better sales prioritization. Salespeople will know what accounts and what deals are more priority as compared to other ones. And less wasted ad spend, right? The ad is like a sniper rifle gun used very with a high intent, with a high purpose. Okay, so better signal leads to better action, better actions leads to better revenue for your sales team. I think this is where we conclude. I hope that you like the signals playbook. We're going to keep talking about this playbook in the coming days as well. I hope that these sessions are, at least enlightening you on areas of how to move forward, especially if you are into B2B sales team. So if you want to book workshop with us, go ahead and book workshop with us. You will find us, just contact us. We have a Signals playbook. You can just go to our website and download our GTM playbook as well. And where you can see some of our other webinars to see bridge ads and dark funnel in action. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you in the next one.